start just with the graph because I've been having a little bit of a technical challenge to put the live podcast or the live stream up today. So right with the graph, you're familiar with this if you're following me for at least this week. If not, I can explain this very quickly. This is a advisory board operating system, and this is a full operating system and or ecosystem actually. It reports it itself all the time to see where you have the challenges, the problems when you are facing all these circumstances, when you're scaling, when you need predictability in your organization, all the systems and processes that you're putting in place, and when you're going into transformation and reinvention or the innovation of your company, right? So let me go right into the. I'm a bit rushed today, and apologies for that because I have this little technical problem. Now, anyway, welcome again. My name is Francisco Gaffney. Today is Thursday, April 16th. My name is Francisco Gaffney. As I mentioned, this is my daily streaming all about governance, risk, and compliance. And this is the whole advisory board system. And today we're going to talk about specifically one section because I spoke about scaling, I spoke about predictability on Tuesday. Yesterday, Wednesday, I spoke about systems. And today I'm going to go about the most important thing, well, not the most important, but part of the system, actually, but the thing that makes your company relevant for what's going on today. And surprisingly, sometimes the things that make you relevant and make your company thrive and resilience in the future is not really the next new thing, is actually what is going on in your own organization, your own management teams, and your own adoption of technology, right? So this is very important because many people think that actually we need to do the new things. For example, I was reading today in Forbes that a company that is called Allbirds, probably you heard about this company, it's a shoe company founded by a biologist and a sportsman in 2005, I think, or 15, I don't quite remember. So this company was a sports company. So famous because Silicon Valley people would use it like a distinction, if you may, but stars like Ben Affleck will use it, Barack Obama will use this kind of sports shoes. So it was quite famous, but was not doing very well. But what happened? They completely changed from sports shoes into AI platforms, right? So they changed. What have to do sports shoes and sportmans and a biologist, or in terms of their founders, to AI? I really don't know because it seems like the complete opposite thing. Though the stock soared 580% increase. It's not at the level when they went public, but it was a massive excitement in the market when they decided to go into AI as a technology company rather than a sports company, right? Like a sports shoes, like a running shoes or sneakers, whatever you call it in your region. Now, what I mentioned this to you because sometimes you see all these as part of transformation or reinvention or innovation. Like we go from this to the other. But sometimes it's not the right move. Sometimes just a little shift of whatever is happening today and have been happening for the past 10 years is weight enough to give you a massive advantage in the market. And the perfect example, again, and I'm talking about companies, is Apple. When Steve Jobs came back in 1997 to Apple, he discontinued 75% of the production of the organization, and the catalog was discontinued. 75% of the catalog and the production line, right? So that was around 200 products. And they stuck with one specific line of products that they were relevant, and this is the keyword, relevant for their customers. 10 years later, they launched iPhones, 2007. And guess what? The iPhone technology, the touchscreen technology, was available since 1996 in the market with the Motorola Simone, I think was the model, right? So the technology was in the market already, available and marketed, has a massive jump in 10 years later when iPhone was launched, right? But guess what? It was not a one case in this period of 10 years. There were other models in the middle that were also touchscreen. They were not key. You remember the kind of it, the key, the Nokias and the Blackberries. There were many other models that were fully touchscreen, including luxury brands like Prada and I believe Samsung delivered one model that was a full luxury touchscreen model 2 years earlier. The iPhone was in the market, right? And then anyway, so there are many products, touchscreen phones, 10 years before the iPhone was launched. What I'm trying to say here, actually, you have these two big things in the market. So one, that they focus specifically on things that they already exist, they're already in the market with them, they are sharing these things, but they change slightly something, 5%, less than 10% of the current technology or usage, and make a massive splash in the market like the iPhone, or a company that created massive attention and stock valuation or valuation of the company overnight when they completely change from A to sports to AI technology platforms, right? So here is the examples that I wanted to anchor today, and we're going to analyze a bit of all of them through the conversation, right? So we want to look into the assets lens. So today is about the strategy assets, the people assets, and the innovation edge that keeps the company relevant, as I mentioned, right? So here's where many boards or executive teams and founders get impatient. They know the company has it to change, right? And they know technology is moving, and they know competitors are now waiting. So they launch too much, right? So a new platform, a new operating model, a new AI work stream, a new customer promise, a new efficiency push, you name it. So then the whole thing starts to jam, right? Because it's too much at the same time, all at the same place. And remember, probably Allbirds is going to have that all at the same time in the same place, which is from shoemaker, we are going to go into AI platform, right? From iPhone, for Apple, was the other way around. From a catalog of 200 something products or 300 something products, we're going to reduce to 100 products, right? So they say less jam, so better focus, better capability to understand what was going on, how to make it relevant. Because transformation without a sequence becomes a kind of a confusion, right? Because too many things at the same time. And confusion is one of the quietest destroyers of the confidence, not only of the board of advisors, the board of non-executive directors, the executive team, you as a founder, your own people, your management, etc., etc. So here's where I come in as a board advisor, and I solve that by building a rotating international advisory board around the milestones in front of the company. So you get the specialist capability you need in a fraction of the time to hire one executive without the big consulting overhead and without talent locking, which is very important because today, what is important today, right now, in 6 months down the line, that expertise, that experience, that connections might not be the right ones because the project evolves. And we have the option to swap members every 6 months or so as the projects evolve. So let's look into problems that are, you say, okay, fine, all good examples, that's interesting. So, but I like to show you statistics now of what are the problems and how you can start to look into your organization. And with these two examples that I brought to today, Allbirds and iPapple, you can say, okay, how these problems with studies that have been done already at the management level, at the company levels, you can say, okay, I can see now where I can put my attention, because this is very important. Because one thing is saying case studies, oh, why I mentioned, but then you say what I need to look specifically in my organization to start to address these things. Problem number one is that adoption is accelerating, and it's not even acceleration. It's not even, it's all bumpy. And here's coming from the Office for National Statistics in UK that says that 26% of UK businesses were using at least one type of AI by March this year, 2025. That's 3 weeks ago. But 18% were planning adoption in the next 3 months. So for a firm of 250 employees or more, the current usage is around 45% of AI. So that means the boards are now operating in a market where capability gaps can widen quickly. And what I'm saying is, I say, well, why 26% of UK businesses, adoption 18%, so it seems like it's decreasing the adoption, but 40% are using AI. So what all these statistics mean? It means actually that, in particular with AI, in terms of adoption, you don't see a large amount of businesses using it properly. The adoption is lowering because people start to realize what are we doing. And even with large companies above 250 employees, only 45% have a very, very good use of AI. I'd say very good. They use AI proactively. What all that means? That means that actually, if you don't sort out the base problems, meaning how you use AI for which tasks, for which activities, then you are amplifying your problems. You are not really helping yourself. And this is a hard reality that you have to face, because prompting or doing things in coding or vibe coding, as they call it, and trying to do it yourself, this is amazing. It's a good exercise. But towards what? If you don't have a real plan behind it, and to analyze where we are today, where we want to be relevant in the coming 6 months or next year in terms of a full change of organization, or just the 5-10% of the current use that will make a big splash in the market. Your AI is trying to save cost, but actually at the same time is increasing cost, because that's creating more problems than actually the ones that they are solving. And then you see Snapchat, I think, is announcing to fire or lay off or let people go for in around 1,000, because say the repetitive tasks are going to be replaced by AI. But listen what they're saying. People are saying, oh, they're going to fire people because of AI. But can you hear what I said? Really? And this, for how long we have AI in enterprises? For like 3-4 years? Well, in enterprise for many, many years, because AI was, I don't want to get into the history of AI, but actually it's in 1956, the first language model of AI was already in the market. It's called Lisa, and you can still interact with this in the internet. So I'm not saying that, what I'm saying is actually as how's been popularized AI in the last 3, 4, 5 years. A company today, like 3 or 4, 5 years later, now they say, now we are going to do some adjustments in terms of repetitive tasks. You know, I'm 100% sure that behind that was a large program investigating what those repetitive tasks were, just to make sure that they were the right move for the organization. Right? It was not an impulsive thing that say, oh, we're going to save costs now, so we're going to reduce these salaries and replace it with AI. And guess what? Probably now somebody have to manage that AI, because it's not self-managed either. And AI, as a good friend of mine said, doesn't replace thinking, right? Anyways, so let's look at the second problem, which is transformation depends on management quality. And here is an interesting survey from the Office of National Statistics. They have a spectrum, right? Or put it that way, they have a spectrum of the practice scores of management. Practice scores. So they score the management in terms of 1 to 10, let's say, in terms of their capability, expertise, connections, efficiencies, etc., etc. So this is a public domain, by the way. You can go and check it yourself. So they go into practice scores, and they say that the top 10, they use complex tools, technology to help them to perform. So the top 10 management, but they have a condition first to use those tools. They are already at the top 10 of these management practice scores, right? And below the lowest scored management in terms of their practices and capabilities, they say they adopted only 50% of tools to scale, right? Now, what is this statistics is saying us? That actually, if you have poor management, the systems turn technology, or when they turn to technology, it's expensive theater, because actually the first quality there is the management. right? It's the scoring of their management. It's not the tool itself. The tool is like anything else. Could be absolutely amazing in a very skilled carpenter, for example, a hammer, but for an apprentice, could be could do a lot of damage. And even a very skilled apprentice, or an officer, a carpenter officer, which is 3 or 4 years in the position, a hammer could still be doing more damage than building better. If you give a better hammer, or how it's called this, a power hammer, which is with air compression, if you don't have the basic skills there, or the capacity of the experience, so a better tool, it doesn't mean that they want to do better, because actually it's down to the person now, right? So I'm not saying that actually this is a bad thing. It's something actually statistics are trying to show where the technology is helping and where the people skills and capacities and experience and resources need to be deployed and how. So then you have, when I mentioned Allbirds in terms of changing from shoemaker to AI platform, or Apple from being reducing the catalog by 75%. So they are looking into this kind of thing. So which is the people that we have around that, and this is a third problem. This is the internal frictions that you have, and this is coming from a PwC survey that says that 33% of UK CEOs questions whether they have the right leadership team around them. 33% of the companies, so 1/3 of the organizations in the UK, and actually I'm 100% sure that if they say that in the UK, many other countries in the world, they are probably asking the same question. Do we have the right team around us? So, and the same proportion says unnecessary bureaucracy and internal politics may be underlining agility at a critical time. So that is the risk. It's not only external disruption, it's also the internal drag that you have. Do you have the right people? You might have the right people at the time that were hired, that's correct. They have the skills, the capacity, the CV, the resume, you name it. But today, the things are evolving in different direction, different capacity, in different places. It doesn't mean that the people are bad. Nobody wakes up in the morning thinking, I'm going to fail today. No, everybody wants to thrive. Everybody wants to succeed. But perhaps the environment where they are, the skills that they have, the capacity that they have, are not contributing, and they are not making their capacities and delivery as good as it used to be in the past, and this is start to get a lot of frictions internal, right? So let's imagine this as a transformation. Now it's not a fireworks display, so that people see all the end game, like, wow, this is amazing. But what happened before is kind of a relay race, right? So they have to pass in the baton to runner, and it's a handover is messy, and the speed starts to slow down, and part of the business only creates a drop or slow down the whole team later on, rather than making the go into the podium, right? So how does a board turn this transformation from a long list of projects into a real edge? So we mentioned several things here, but actually how we can start to boil down these action steps. As a board advisor, I would suggest 3 things. First thing is choose the edge, right? So decide what the company is trying to become better at. Faster decisions, lower cost of serve, better customer retention, better pricing, cleaner forecasting. If the board, or you're part of the executive team, or you as a founder cannot name the edge in one line, probably the program is still too vague, right? And this is a difficult exercise. When you start to put in one line things that you are thinking, it's very difficult, because you need a clarity of mind that is second to none. So this doesn't mean that people are not capable. It means actually when you have an advisory board around you, that clarity can come up much faster and much easier. So the second thing to consider is the stage the changes, right? So, and here's where the interesting thing is coming. The Office, again, for National Statistics data shows that technology adoption tracks management quality, right? We spoke about management and how they adopt technology, high performance, better technologies, even higher performance. Lower performance, and performances, I mean, is a scoring of the quality of the management. It doesn't mean that actually people are not capable. Please don't get that wrong. It means actually perhaps they are in the wrong places, in the wrong teams, in the wrong circumstances, and you add more tools, that is not going to help. So guess what happened here? The UK government's AI plan is also pushing to adoption support through a program that is called Bridge AI, right? So, and this is coming from official government. So they understand that actually here that we have challenges that probably people are not prepared for. So they prepare programs for that. And I'm 100% sure that in your geographies, on your jurisdiction, your country, if you're listening from outside the UK, you have also programs in that help the adoption of the technology. So the right move is not to do everything at once. It is to pick the sequence that a company can absorb and prove. And here's the point. Proof or evidence is the best defensible position that you can have. Because if you're going one direction and you start to document the step that you're going through there, then it's much easier to go back and fix the things actually are not working. But if you don't document anything and you do a big splash about everything, everybody, all hands on deck, yeah, probably you are going to have a problem there because everybody has an interpretation of those big splash initiatives. Now, the third thing to consider is to test the leadership capacity honestly. So I remember the PwC survey says that CEOs are juggling conflict with while leading with the reinvention because of their own teams. So they, instead of looking forward all the time, this is what we have to go, this is what we need to do, this is the new initiative, it's worth to sometimes look around you. What is your team? Who are these people? Right? Not like you don't. It's not that you don't know them. It's just genuinely ask, who are you? What are you doing? What are your skills? What are your capacity? Which is the direction that where we're coming from, where we're going, right? So Allbirds, as I mentioned at the beginning, they decided to go a completely different direction from sport shoes to AI platform. Apple did a different thing. So they say, we are not going to splash everywhere and continue competing with everything as a commodity. We are going to focus in the 25% of our product line that actually is made relevant for the future of our customers, right? So, which is a hard question today. So this probably helps the board go through a lot of noise. And the question is, choose the right sequence and get the right capability around the table and fast. And that's where I come in and help with this. So what do you gain working with me? It's three things. Business outcomes, differentiators, and risk reductions. In terms of business outcomes, I help boards turn transformation into a stage operating agenda, not a company. So the company changed in ways that improve performance rather than simply increase activity. You don't need more activity to get better results. In terms of differentiator, I build a rotating international advisory board around the specific milestones in front of the business. So that bringing the right mix of strategy, operating model, technology, governance, and growth expertise without the overhead of a large consultancy firm and without locking the company into hire too early when you need to think about that next step carefully first. And in terms of risk reductions, I bring members, the members of the advisory board can be changed every 6 months as a transformation evolves. So the board gets the right expertise for diagnostics, design, delivery, and follow through at the right time. Right. So one action you can take today, and it's doable in 30 minutes or less. Before your next meeting, ask for one-pager transformation sheet, right? And listing there every active change program, its business outcome, who is the owner, and the next proof point, and the one reason it may fail, right? So again, it's a one-pager, and this is a transformation sheet, and which is a change program. So, which is a business outcome, who is the owner, right? So you have a program, the business outcome, so what we're going to achieve with this, and who is the owner, who is responsible, who is accountable for this, which is the next proof point, and the one reason it might fail. With that, you can start to narrow down the things that actually potentially are going to be successful for your organization, or if you need to, unfortunately, scrap that one and start all over again with that particular area. So let's pause it here for today and reconvene tomorrow, because tomorrow I will put the whole week together, or the whole model together, and show how boards, executive teams, and founders turn these 4 moving parts into one credible, valuable creating system. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.